Hello all you such artists out there, and welcome to a new series in which we're going to be giving you guys a little bit of tutorials on how I do some of the things I do in my paintings. Now, obvious full disclaimer, this is just how I do things. There may be better ways, you may have a better way, but hopefully you'll learn a little bit of something from this and we can make it a little bit entertaining in the meantime. In today's tutorial here, we're going to be addressing how I do clouds. We're going to do 3 different cloud types on one painting here. Let's go ahead and pick this size, and we're going to do them, 3 different sections here. So I guess the first thing you're going to learn is a little bit of geometry. Geometry? What do you mean by that? Well, I want to divide this painting up into 3 equal sections here. But how do you divide a rectangle into 3 sections? I got you. Let me go ahead and grab my tape, and you can watch and follow along. And I should say that these are just somewhat equal. But that's pretty close. I'll flip it to the side. I'm going to tape off the top section because this is where we're going to be starting. Now the first cloud type that we're going to be doing is very similar to what you see here is cumulus clouds. Cumulus clouds are, well, like this right here. Some of the defining features that you're going to see in cumulus clouds are they're going to be, a little bit flatter on the bottom, darker on the bottom with, highlights on the top. And I mentioned in previous videos, you can really do any colors that you want for the sky that I found, but the only color, in my opinion, that doesn't work is green. The only time that you really see green appear in the sky is when you see like a green flash on the horizon on the ocean, which I've never seen, but I've heard about it. And when there's a tornado present, which you don't want to see. So what I like to do is start with base colors here, and depending on the time of day and setting, you like to make a little bit of a gradient here. I'm just going to do kind of a basic blue sky for this starter one, but I'm going to start darker at the bottom, lighter on top. So that way it's midday. You got to pretend that, pretend this is your horizon. We're going to pretend the sun's somewhere up here, somewhere. Oh, hey, maybe that big old light can be the sun. Imagination. So we're starting darker on the bottom. Personally, I tend to do 3 different color gradients, 3 different colors in my gradients. The more colors you do, then the more defined it's going to be, obviously. I'm going to start light here on the top. Let's go, let's see. Well, this is our, I like to go a little bit less saturated here. If you don't really know how this color wheel works, the outer edges are going to be the more saturated colors. As you go inwards, they're less saturated. So this is still like technically blue or purple hues, but they're a little bit less saturated than, well, quite a bit less saturated than these right here, which are going to be super blue blues. Blue blues? What am I even saying? So here, we'll start with this color. Hopefully this isn't too purple. That's actually really purple. Let's do this one instead. There we go. Now within the same color spectrum here, or the same saturation level, I'm going to go ahead and just grab one a little bit darker. And then we'll have our darkest at the bottom. I'm just going to go right there. Now the main tools I personally like to use when making clouds are going to be these blenders right here, which also work great for applying paint. The sponge and my solvent. Let's go ahead and grab our solvent right now. And I'm going to grab this biggest blender. The solvent, I'm just going to wet everything up here and then get to blending. I like to start off blending with, just kind of some circular motion, so I can kind of spread some of that dark up and some of the light stuff down. And do the same up here, see? Just circular motions. And then we do lots of side to side. If you feel like it took you a little bit too long to do, no worry. Just solvent again and blend more. By the time you're done, you should have a nice gradient from, dark to light or light to dark, if you want to count it from top to bottom or bottom to top. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. Now for the clouds themselves, I'm going to take some of these exact same colors that I had and make some paint colors, or whatever, some splotches of those. But then I also want to, let's say I'm going to take it off of that blue a little bit here. Let's go with this one right here, and I'm going to go really light with this. And then if I go right to the middle, I actually want to get some pure white as well. Notice how I said there's dark shadows underneath the clouds? Let's get some of the darkest dark. Well, I guess that's not the darkest dark, but it's pretty dark blue. Now using the sponge, make sure you take a look at the bottom left here. If it says press F to remove water, yeah, you're going to want to remove water. Otherwise, when I try to apply paint to it here, I'm not going to end up applying paint. I'm just going to wipe up the paint here and, clean my area, which I've done before. So F, remove the water. So using the sponge here, I'm going to start with a little bit of dark stuff at the bottom. Let's actually take that darkest dark, put some of that down here as well. Again, when you do this, this is entirely your own. I mean, do what you feel comfortable with, I'm going to take a little bit of lighter stuff, or just a hair lighter, and put it up above this. I should have probably done that first because I want to go back over it with this dark. I'll take a little bit of this here, mix it in. And let's put another cloud back here. That one will kind of fade into the bottom though. All right, now with all those on, I'm going to wet it again here and kind of blend those in. These are just going to be kind of the basic cloud shape. And we'll work on adding more definition to them here after we get kind of the basic colors of them down. Now, I'm actually a fan of the texture that you get from the sponge, which is one of the reasons I use it. So I'm not going to go all the way to the edges here if I don't have to. But here, like where I have two different shades of dark blue, I definitely want to get those blended together. And silly me, I should have gone all the way to the bottom with this blue, but I didn't. That's okay. I'm just going to blend it down there. It'll look good. All right, there we go. Good start. Now, using my blender, look, I can apply a little bit of a color to it here. And this goes on very smooth, and you can use it to kind of gain, you know, additional blending here. So I added kind of that mid-tone blue a little bit to it. Now I'm going to add just that very light stuff that I have. And I'm just going to dab this along the edges here. Kind of where I want the, you know, the tops of my clouds to be. Now the reason I'm doing multiple here is I kind of wanted to make it seem like these clouds, where there's going to be a cloud here, kind of in the foreground of this one. With those on, I'm going to solvent again. Just blend the bottom half of these here. See, I want to keep that texture up top, but I want the bottom to kind of mix into the existing blue. Right, I'm going to add some white now to the top, and the white should stand out quite a bit. I'm going to do a little bit just in the sky as well, because it looks a little boring up there. It looks a little empty. So I added that white here in the background. I mean, I'm just kind of improvising as I go here. I'm going to add a little bit of darker stuff here at the bottom of them. It's not quite dark enough. There we go. And then we can wet and blend more. Now I'm actually going to switch to my smaller blender here. Let's get these out of the way first. I'm going to do lots of horizontal strokes because these clouds are going to kind of have a shelf bottom. If that makes sense. And again, as I'm blending these, I'm trying to keep the texture on the top half of it the same. But I want the bottom half to blend into what we already have. Okay, and it's coming along here, but it's not quite right, is it? Nope. So now I'm going to use this blender here to kind of blend in some more dark spots here for more contrast. And I'm adding a little bit more of this kind of, well, the one color that we use that's off of the rest of them here. I want to say greenish blue, but it's not green. I mean, it's, what, I don't know, aquamarine, something like that. But by adding a second hue to it, I mean, even if it's close to your original hue, it makes it a lot more interesting to look at than just a straight blue. Even if you're, like, not quite catching the realism of, you know, actual clouds. Does that make sense? I didn't really practice for this or have a game plan. I'm just winging it, trying to show you guys what I do, and hopefully it helps some people. All right, overall, I think this is coming out pretty good, but right here, see how we're kind of implying that there's some, you know, some clouds in the front, and then this one. I need a little bit more contrast in this crest between them, and maybe we need to bring this one down a little bit here to define it better. So because we're going for contrast here first, and that's going to kind of be in the background, let's add more of the dark stuff here first. So we added kind of a dark crest there. I want to do this in gradients here, so I'm going to take some of this medium. I'm going to call it the medium blue that we had. It's kind of our middle ground blue. And we'll take some of this here, touch up on the top of it. Finish off with a little bit of white here. And then blend in the bottom of that white. I added a little bit of blue to it here, a little bit of the dark, or not darker, but this shade right here. Just to kind of make it work in a little bit better. And you know what? It kind of looks like this one's going to go over here, doesn't it? Yeah, let's go like that then. We're going to trail that one off here, just kind of blend it into nothingness. I don't really like the shape of this side here, so I'm just going to wet it, blend it up a little bit. There we go. It'll kind of fade into that one a little bit more. And there we go. I'm going to call that one right there. So that is how I would do cumulus clouds. I think it turned out pretty cool. Now, I don't really have a good example of it, but the next cloud type that we're going to be doing is a Cirrus Cloud, which I think I've actually only done in one painting. And Cirrus Clouds, I associate more with like ocean, sunset, you know, high winds but clear skies, but still some clouds in the sky, something like that. I don't know. I don't know enough about the meteorology of it. But for this one, I am going to do a little bit of sunset. So I'm not going to do an actual sun on here, but think when you get kind of the, you know, a full gamut of colors here with the sunset. So for my background on this one, just the base colors of the sky, we're going to start probably a yellow and then fade up to you know, kind of a yellow, purple, or yellow, pink, blue, yellow, pink, purple, blue, something like that. So here, I'm going to start with a yellow. We're going to get this just at the very edge of the bottom. So we're going to kind of follow the hues around this way towards the blue. So we're going to go yellow. Let's kind of grab something a little bit pinker now. And then continuing that trend, we'll take about equal steps here. We'll take this, oh, this is pretty pink too. Oh no, that's pink. That's pink, boy. And now we'll take kind of a purplish blue and we'll go pretty dark with this one here because this is going to be the top of the sky at sunset. Like we did before, we're going to wet it all up and get to blending. Get a nice gradient of these colors in. For this one, I'm going to do quite a bit more horizontal instead of circular, just because the colors are so close together. We'll start with this and see how kind of how it works out. I did actually end up going pretty circular with them here. I feel like the horizontal just wasn't blending enough. It was making still too fine of a line here between the gradients. So just like the last painting, do circular, and then I'm going to do horizontal side-to-side motions here, lots of them, so we get everything blended together nice and evenly. There we go, that's a nice gradient. So now for Cirrus Clouds, I'm not going to end up using the sponge at all because I want them to be fairly thin, and they're generally strokey? Is that what I was going to say? I don't know. I was going to say a weird word there. But we want to get, you know, probably two different colors for them. You know, there's going to be a bottom and a top. So the bottom is going to be very... well, surprisingly, in this one here, the bottom is going to be light because it's kind of more towards the sun, and the top is going to be, you know, a little bit darker, I think. I don't know. I have an idea for how it's going to work here, and hopefully we can kind of explain it as we go. So the lighter color that I'm going to do, I want to do something here, kind of a mid-ground of the sky color here. So we're going to go with, you know, kind of a little bit more saturated of a reddish here. Then for our dark, I'm going to definitely go more purple here, and let's go about like this. And I'm going to try to do it here with the thick one here. We're going to go like this and just get our cloud shapes this way. I'm going to start at one point and kind of go side to side because they'll fade. You see that the paint fades off of this as I stroke. So I want to go to each side like that. I'm going to add a little bit of thickness to some of these here. Now I'm actually blending this into a dry background. I did make sure to dry all of this before I'm putting these on because I don't actually want to blend this into the purples in the background. I want it to be a kind of a separate, its own separate entity, if that makes sense. I hope it does. But now we're going to take the small blender here and I'm going to put this on a little bit above halfway on all of the clouds and just get the base color in, and then we'll worry about blending it more here once we have these on. With this one, I do actually want to work fairly quickly because I want to end up blending this, especially along the top here, without blending into the background. Now, the problem is if I use solvent, the solvent is also going to wet that background for me as well, which I don't want in this case. And I think right there we didn't work quick enough. That's okay. I mean, if we have to blend into the background, we got to blend into the background. Not too worried about it. Like what's Bob Ross say? There's no such thing as mistakes, just happy accidents. More opportunities to learn as you go. Now I want to brighten some of these up a little bit, so I am going to take some white. I don't think I've used white when I've done these previously, but and I'm not going to end up making it pure white on here, but I want to add a little bit of lightness to them, and then because we're going to end up spraying anyway, so we'll blend that in. So we'll have a little bit of highlights here, especially kind of at the bottom of our clouds. All right, so we'll start on this top right one here first, and I know it looks like a mess right now, but hopefully it won't be. I know, especially with this white, this is kind of making it one uniform color, and that's okay. We'll go back here with our blender and add a little bit more color to it here where we can. Some selective uses of color. Because it's looking like this one's a little thick now, I'm actually going to add a little bit more white here to give it some added definition. I'm gonna go back through and add a little bit more color to it. I feel like this white is washing it out a bit. I'm gonna start with kind of that peach color here. Maybe we can add some purple on top of that here. Just a little bit of splotches. I'm gonna wash here before I blend any of these. When I blend them, I'm just gonna do along the bottom half, just to keep the top half of the darker purple. Just a couple finishing touches here with some purple dabs. Make sure you get them nice and close to each other, so it's you know, you're not getting that signature circle, you know, to every one of these. Just blend them a little bit here, and there we go. Not a bad attempt at Cirrus Clouds. I don't use these too often, but I think that would look pretty good as a background if I put some palm trees in front of it, right? Just agree with me. For the final cloud that we're going to be doing for today's tutorial, we're going to do Mammatus clouds. Now, Mammatus clouds, here's a good example of them in the sky here. We'll throw an example up on screen as well. But they're typically associated with storm clouds and, you know, little pouches, bubbles hanging down, you know, that kind of look like other stuff as well. Let's not get into it. So because we're going stormy weather and the like, I'm going to go a little bit more purple here. I'm going to end up having... yeah, probably only 2 colors for my gradient this time because we're going to do mostly clouds over it here, and I'll show you the technique that we're going to use for that. But I'm going to go with a deep purple, and then we'll go with maybe a medium-ish blue. And as before, we want to get to blending and a nice gradient between these two. Dang it, I keep pulling over that yellow and it's driving me nuts. So I'm actually going to redo this and cover up that yellow with the purple. Good gradient. Now, this is kind of meticulous, but we're going to grab a couple different colors here. Let's grab another deep purple here. Let's take something a little bit less saturated and another purple. And we're going to go very unsaturated and take a very light color. Not quite white, but very, very light. I'm going to want to start these at the bottom and work my way up. I'm going to take the lightest color first. Do a bunch of these sorts of shapes here. We're going to grab the next color purple that we have, kind of go over that, like just on top of it here. Then we're going to take the darkest purple and kind of make a circle right above these. Now you'll notice how with each of these I'm kind of keeping a little bit of each color separate. And the reason we're doing that is we're going to blend them together here like this. I'm not going to do too much blending because I don't want to blend it into one solid color, but I'm just going to go along the edges here a little bit like this. An important aspect is I want to keep the bottom of that white defined, and we're going to do that all the way up our canvas. After I've managed to blend all those colors, I am going to go over the white a little bit, just so it's not quite as defined as it is right now. I keep saying white. It's not white, actually, that we're using in this. It's light, light purple. Alright, I'm going to dry this now. And then you just kind of repeat that for multiple layers going up, getting a little bit bigger each time. Once you're done, you can kind of go through as you see fit and add a little bit of darkness here for some extra what's the word I'm looking for? Contrast between the light, especially between the light and the dark areas. It'll really make the bottoms of the clouds pop a little bit more. Finally, to give it an extra spooky effect, I'm going to add a little bit of a vignette on this one. Just a bonus tutorial here. A vignette is when it's darker around the outer edges, especially the corners. For sure there's a better way to describe it. Now, I found that in SuchArt, really helps use black for a vignette. Like in this, it seems like it would make sense to use purple since, you know, the darkest colors in the painting are purple, but yeah, again, black seems to work best. It's a great tool for drawing viewers' eyes towards the center of the composition, excuse me, and also, you know, hiding your own imperfections here that you made along the edges. And overall, it just makes it more interesting, in my opinion. And now let's hang our cloud tutorial painting in our gallery with the rest of our beautiful art that we've done on this channel. So I hope you learned something from this video. Like I said in the beginning, I'm sure there's much better ways to do clouds than just what I've been doing, but this is the best method that works for me. I think it works better for some of them more than others. Especially the cumulus clouds at the top really look awesome compared to the other ones. So, but by all means, if you have some tips or tricks that you think I didn't cover in this video, leave them in the comments below, or you can always join our Discord and post it there as well, and I'll hopefully implement those in a future video. So do me a favor, leave a thumbs up on this video if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing to the channel if it's your first time here and you want to see more content by me, or if you've been here multiple times and you still haven't done it yet. Why haven't you done it yet? I'm gonna call it right here. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Kaz out. Peace.